Welcome to this episode of CIO Water Cooler TV. Today I am joined by Chris. You're the head of technology at Future Processing, a Polish company that's working out of the UK and Germany, correct?
Exactly.
And what are you actually delivering for those clients?
So we deliver high quality software, I would say. We are specializing in building long-term relationships with our clients, and we build that on the quality. So we believe that building good quality software makes long-term benefit for the business because they can deliver new features in a stable pace. So I think that works because most of the clients stay with us for long years.
Do they tend to come on board for short-term projects and then stuff snowballs and you end up finding yourself doing more and more? And I suppose when it is the kind of business that you run, what do those entry-level projects tend to look like more interestingly?
Well, typically I would say we enroll for like half a year or up to a year projects when we can gain this trust between us and clients. And then typically cooperation growth and we just do more and more into the client's business.
I would assume that on those first projects, it's quite easy to deliver quality because you're not talking about massive pieces of work. But as that trust grows between you and the client, there is that tendency, isn't there, to worry that when you've got a customer on board, does the quality remain or does the quality begin to drop? So I suppose that keeping quality high must be the thing that you're having to persuade the client that you're doing.
I would say that yes, this is not a problem because we keep this culture of delivering business value and caring about quality in the organization. I would say there's the opposite thing which is hard because typically when you're about to fight for the client, so you're not alone. There are a number of companies and they quote, and when you quote, it should be easy to deliver a couple months project without taking care of quality, and then but this is against our philosophy because then we will end up in a court with our client. We don't want that. So we struggle with showing our actual value, that we will be building that software and we have a reasonable price, but also it will be just a good beginning of our cooperation.
So there is that slight tension specifically in the software between velocity and quality.
So
sorry, go on.
yeah, it's actually tricky because when we think about this external quality, like how the user interface feels or what's the performance, then there is a trade-off. Obviously, doing a better software in terms of external quality is more expensive. But when we look at this internal quality, it obviously takes time to, for example, automate tests or modularize software in a proper way. But in the longer perspective, it quickly pays off because software development is all about changes. There's requirements changing, people changing, environment around us changing, and changes comes relatively easily if you have crafted your software well, but it comes incredibly hard when you're not prepared for serving changes.
In the way that, in what ways is the industry rather evolving? Because you mentioned their testing, and I kind of go back 10 years, and people talked about the fact that the tester was a role that was dying off, and certainly kind of in its traditional guise, the tester is not as important a role as it used to be, but automation of testing and now developers using automation to test their own scripts seems to be something that's very much coming to the fore.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that right now it's already standards. As a software development company, we went that way from the point where automation in tests was totally not popular. We have to discuss with clients why this might be worth and so on. And right now this is like default approach. And yes, role of testers changed. Typically they are not just like not too much skilled people who just clicks on the UI. They are more like quality assurance engineers. So they work on the code, on tests code. They're more like a guardian that the automated testing suite is well crafted. So they're more like the engineers now, not just the clickers.
If the engineers are asked to get involved in testing, is that something they enjoy, or do you think they kind of view it as we've got to do it, but all right, it's another area where automation seems to be mashing job roles together where they weren't necessarily.
It's an interesting question. I think it strongly depends on the people. There are some people who just don't really like writing tests. I want to just write production code, but for others, this is what they enjoy. So I think we have. There are people who prefer this part, and the other part. So you just need to find the good people, appropriate people.
Another area of technology where you're beginning to see this amalgamation of roles and this kind of, I suppose, this creation of a new area of mashing together two disciplines is DevOps. And obviously it's existed for a few years now. Yeah. But a lot of people are investing time and resource into DevOps for obvious reasons. But what mistakes are they making when they are doing that commonly in your eyes?
Okay, so from my observation, from what we're trying to do at Future Processing for our clients, is that people in an organization too often rely on the tooling and those DevOps engineers, and this is common role recently because DevOps skills are not yet that popular. So there are people skilled in all those tooling, but in the end, it too often happen to be that this person is a single point of failure. If he goes for the vacation, hopefully all this tooling works. If it crashes, then we are really in serious problems. So what we recommend and we try to work on with our teams is that those DevOps engineers are not only responsible for building tools, but they also like coaches or trainers, teaching team how to do that DevOps properly.
Well, look, it's a fascinating area. Thank you for sharing some insights and talking to us today. If you've enjoyed this episode of CIO Watercooler TV, please do have a look around the website. There's plenty more content for you to enjoy.